What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another deck profile, and this time it's for Dragonmaids. So I've finally managed to get the Bisted stuff in hand. It took a very long time for it to get here in Australia. So yeah, we can finally play this deck. Except I'm now going to have a Shizu in like a week, and it's going to leave me really torn as to whether or not I play this or I play that for the going future. Odds on at YCS, I'm probably going to end up playing a Shizu. I feel like it's going to be dumb for me to not play that, but at the same time, I look at this deck, and I really like the list. It's quite good, and it does like hard counter that deck, so it's just really going to be a case of whether or not I think I can play through Rogue with this. And yeah, it's definitely going to be a couple months of testing and figuring this out. But before we get started on this profile, as always, please do remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new here, because we are always happy to have new people to the channel. And let's get on into this deck profile. Before we do get started on this one, though, it is brought to you, of course, by yourplaymat.com, who got us our beautiful NolanTCG extra deck sleeves. These are available on yourplaymat.com, as well as you can get custom sleeves and custom playmats, so whatever you need for the current format. There is an affiliate link in the description down below that does get you a little bit of a discount on your order. Also, enter the code NOLAN10YP for 10% off your order. Also kicks back a little bit to the channel, so everything will be very much appreciated. If you're shopping there, you're getting custom sleeves, custom playmats done. Make sure to enter our code at checkout. But let's get on into this deck profile. Okay, so starting us off, we of course have our starter, and it is our 3 copies of Chamber Dragonmaid. Of course, definitely makes this whole deck go around. Yeah, this is like one card combo for pretty much everything now. If you open a Bisted, you can then use the Bisted if you need to then search for something else. It's rather cute. It just gives you everything you need. It facilitates bounces. This card is just very, very good. Another card that's very, very good is, again, a 1-card Link 2. It's our Parlor Dragonmaid. We're effectively just using these guys to get through to a Hieratic Seal. They give us a Dark Engrave that we can then play off with the Bisteds if we want to play off with the Bisteds on our turn. Only really matters on the turns when you want to set up the double, like the continuous spell and trap on the same turn. Having these makes it really, really useful because you don't have to banish your Lebellion, and banishing your Lebellion really hurts. So yeah, playing the 6 package, it's not that bad anymore if you don't draw them. Because, hey, you can now just search them off the Magnamut when you need to. And that's, yeah, really good. Then for the rest of our Dragonmaid lineup, these are, as much as it hurts me to say, close to cuttable. These 3 cards don't really come up that much. We are playing the 1 copy of Nurse still. It is the last of our small Dragonmaids. We've completely cut Kitchen. As much as Kitchen... I've always been a critic of Kitchen. I'm sure if you watched all my Dragonmaid profiles, it is like the least favorite of all the Dragonmaids of mine. So now the way I kind of see it is we play the 6th line, we have the Nurse to summon off the Hieratic Seal, brings us back the one that we have in Grave, and then you can kind of snowball off from there on the following turn. We then have our bigs, so we are just playing the 1 copy of Lorpar and the 1 copy of Urns. Urns is still just a free extender, that's the reason why I'm playing it, and Lorpar is your targeted negation on your turn, so you can turn something off and then try and break a board. Still fairly necessary in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! To have something that does that. Then we get into our Bestial line. So we've got our 3 copies of the Bestial Lebellion. Of course, we're just using it to facilitate full combo with all the Bisted cards. If you open Lebellion plus a Dragonmaid, very, very good time for you. You're going to set up quite a nice board. We then have our 3 copies of Magnamut. Again, Scarm Search End Phase. Remember to do that. This card searches every card in your deck, and it crows your opponent. Going second, this deck is really nutty against, especially Tearlament. If you can open like 2 Bestials and Dragonmaids, they're normally not going to come back from that. It gets really, really rough. We then have our next one. So 3 copies of Bestial Druid Worm in the main deck. We're playing a 3-3-3 line of all of the like standard Bestial packages. But Druid's Worm, I honestly consider cutting the most. Going first, it's the worst one. It never really sees any use, but you know, going second, again, still a really good card. Yeah, it's one of the ones where I'm torn on whether or not I want to cut the ratio, because a lot of times I see it in my opening hand going first, I'm like, this is kind of useless. But if you open multiple and you have the Dragonmaid line, you can do some rather interesting things with it at the very least. But yeah, that's the kind of the reasoning behind Druid Worm. We're maximizing with 3 because we play against a lot of Tearlament. We want to maximize our hand trap ratio for that. But I won't argue with you if you want to trim them down. Maybe move some back to the sideboard. We then, of course, have our 3 copies of Bestial Saronir. I play this at 3 because it goes off really well with the standard combo. Because you use it to get the branded spell trap card Engrave that you can then reset. Yeah, good card, good card. We then have our Fenrirs, so we're playing 3 copies of Castro Fenrir. you don't have to play this card. This is simply where we've gotten into our hand trap lines. You can replace this with any board breaker you would like. At the moment, I'm playing Fenrir because it is just so free. If you're going first, it's so good. If you're going second and you don't bestial your opponent, or you bestial and they remove the bestial, that's when this card becomes good. Going second, that is the only time it's probably been problematic for me, is if I've used a bestial and then having the Fenrir, now I control a monster, it's not so free anymore. But it does come up in weird situations where sometimes you may have to tribute summon it. And yeah, helps you out a lot in those situations. We then, after that, have our 3 copies of Nibiru. This is just our standard hand trap of choice in the main deck. Again, you can switch this for whatever you need for your locals. We then get into our spells. So we've got 3 copies of Dragonmaid Hospitality. Again, just free extension. This is all to get you through your Erratic Seal so you can start interrupting your opponent. 1 copy of Dragonmaid Changeover. Of course, it's our fusion spell. It's recyclable. You just play the one of it. 1 copy of Branded Regained. You just play it for the standard combo. And then 1 copy of Called by the Grave after that. Then for our trap cards, we do have our 3 copies of Dragonmaid's Tidying. Again, just free interruptions for the opponent's combo. This is also an extender for us. If you've played Dragonmaid before, you know all of these things. If you're new to the deck, that's why this card's good. We then, after that, have our 1 copy of Branded Beast. This is the last of the necessary cards in the main deck. The last card is just, again, another hand trap of choice. 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Okay, and now we have the extra deck, and like always, Dragonmaid's extra deck has been relatively solved. Now that we aren't playing Prospero, you can experiment a little bit more in the way you get the extra deck moving. I'm still settled on pretty much my standard ratios because they give you the best grind game, but feel free to definitely mess around with this. Let me know in the comments down below what cards you put in your extra deck at the moment, because I'm pretty much just happy that I have access to everything that I have access to. I'd like a second Striker Dragon, but Striker Dragon's limited. And it's limited for reasons better than the reason it's in this deck. But yeah, we now get into the extra deck. So we've got our 3 copies of Dragonmaid Shiu, just your standard boss monster. You use it to transfer into your House Dragonmaid. Of course, this is your negation and then your pops. Yeah, really just good cards. It's just your standard way to snowball rotation because they also get you the reborns off. And then you can really start to snowball on your opponent. If you don't need to use a Shiu on your opponent's turn, it comes back to you, you've won the game. Like, the game is over if that has hit. So all of a sudden, you now have the negation for your turn, and you're going to get the reborn, you get all the resources to go along with it. Yeah, you're in such a winning situation. We then get into our links. So we've got our 3 copies of Erratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. Again, like I mentioned before, this deck just tries to turbo this out as quickly as possible. For our link 1s to transition into it, we have our 1 Striker Dragon and our 1 Guard Dragon Pisty. There are the odd combo that comes up where you can just use the Pisty, and then you can go into a triple burst, which is quite nice. It's just a cool thing that you can do, because you then, so basically what you want to do is you want to go like Pisty, let's say, like, if you can end on like this, that's really good, but now you're locked and you can't go into the access code, so you use these to make the triple burst, and then you go into the access code from there. That's the reason why the triple burst lives in this deck, is it's your transitional link 3 that gets Pisty off board. And then we have, lastly, our Xyz. So we have our 1 copy of Erratic Dragon King Atum. It's level 6, 2 dragons, summon anything from deck. Guess what? All of your bestials are level 6. That's how you're making this. And then lastly, it's Willow, founder of the Drudge Dragons. Again, it's effectively just more graveyard hate for the opponent. But that does wrap us up here for the deck profile for this one. So as always, if you do have recommendations or things you would change, do make sure to comment them down below. Make sure to definitely comment down below the extra deck spice that you've kind of mixed into this list, because I'd definitely like to maybe take out a Shiu and a House, maybe a Erratic Seal, and kind of mess around and see where that goes. But yeah, as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.